Welcome to lectures and interviews about leadership for sustainability. I'm Bruce Hall.
I suspect you agree that the type of challenges we face today, like climate change, are of a type and scale like we've never faced before. These are system challenges. They require system-wide change. They're wicked. The purpose of today's discussion is to define wicked and explain why those problems are so difficult to solve and why they require a special type of systems leadership. What I want to do is also point you towards some tools and practices that can help you be effective when you confront wicked situations. Let me just start with an example. Imagine the challenges a large city would face if it wants to reduce or eliminate its greenhouse gas emissions. Imagine the almost endless number of moving parts that would need to be coordinated. Buildings, one of the major users of electricity, would need to be made energy efficient. Public transportation would have to be built. Bike lanes installed. Showers at work so bikers could bathe. Electric car charging stations. Decarbonizing the whole electricity utility. Green games that inspire conservation among citizens. The food system would have to change. It just goes on and on and on. No one has authority over all these people. They work in different organizations, they have different agendas, they have different values. Some aren't even in the city. Key actors like utilities could be hundreds of miles away. One way to clarify what a wicked situation is by contrasting it to tame and crisis situations. A tame situation would be something like building a super efficient green building. People understand that the goal is to create an affordable, energy efficient building, and energy engineers and construction managers, they pretty much know what needs doing. Responsibilities get broken down and people can work on them independently and then reassemble. Often there is clear authority, the buck stops somewhere. A crisis would be something like a hurricane. People would give control to a central authority in order to restore public safety. The goal would be to treat the symptoms, not the problems. Put out the wildfire, restore the electricity, rebuild the roads and bridges. The underlying problems, which might be climate change, would get ignored. Wicked problems are wicked in part because everything is so interconnected and interdependent. Underlying causes are unknown and hard to change. No one person or organization can solve it. Many different possible solutions exist, but no one has authority to make them happen. And people can't even agree on what is a good enough solution. Climate change and institutional racism are wicked problems. Okay, to influence and be relevant to wicked situations, you need a new toolbox of leadership skills. You need to be able to connect, collaborate, and adapt. Specifically, you need to be able to connect and coordinate the actions of people who may never meet, don't have authority over one another, and may not even know they are connected. People located in different organizations, sectors, time zones, countries, and supply chains. You also need to collaborate across a widening diversity of opinion, identity, expertise, and culture. Differences being fueled by filter bubbles, echo chambers, network propaganda, confirmation bias, and motivated reasoning. In addition, you need leadership tools that help you adapt to the accelerating change and confounding uncertainty of the Anthropocene, and avoid analysis paralysis by figuring out how to fail forward and learn by doing. There are a lot of specific tools and practices that we talk about in the book and later in the course. For now, though, just recognize that you have to fill your toolbox, so start looking for these tools and start filling that box. When you go about filling that toolbox, you need to recognize that leadership practices work at different scales of social organization, from the individual up to the network. Leadership starts with you, so you have to be self-aware, confident, be willing to take a risk, and make a difference. You also need leadership practices that help you work in a team. That's where a lot of the work gets done. You have to give feedback, you have to have operating principles, you have to know the dysfunctions of a team and how to organize and compose a good team. You also need to be able to run large public meetings, get good feedback, and make people feel that they're heard. Most of us are employed by an organization. We have bosses, or maybe we are bosses. We know how hard it is to change organizations. We need theories of change and mission statements, strategic planning, incentives, and transparency that lead to change. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we need new tools and leadership practices for working in the cross-sector space where businesses, government agencies, and NGOs are collaborating to solve some of the challenges. This is where some of the most interesting work is happening. You can easily fill up your toolbox with the practices described in this book. We'll be discussing many of them in later episodes.